Andy here. What's happening? I am joined today by Mike Marusic of Sharp Electronics. How are you, Mike? Good to see you.
Good to see you, Andy. It's great to be together. We haven't talked in a while. So I am observing. You have a new hat, new logo. So I will check my mail. I hope to get one very soon.
You will get one very soon. It's been a while. We hit a little lull in our travel for a couple weeks, and then I haven't seen you out and about for a while, but I did see some of your people earlier this year. Was at a couple of events that they were at TD Cynics. I think I was at recently with a couple of your guys.
Right.
Um, So I wanted to catch up. Let's start first stuff. Tell us what you do for Sharp. Sharp Electronics. I think calculators, if I recall, you guys are really big into that. Is there anything else you guys do over there at Sharp?
Yeah, we're not doing too bad with the MFP space right now. So I have the honor of being part of that team, and certainly it's been a good couple year run for us, and we are very optimistic about keeping that run going and maybe even expanding it. So it's been a good couple years here at Sharp, and it's been exciting.
Well, it has been exciting, right? So keep expanding it, keep growing it. I thought this is a great opportunity to ask you about the plant you just closed down then, right? So good segue
Yeah,
into that. We'll
yeah,
just get that out of the way. It was one of the things in the news recently. It's not an area that we typically cover. If I remember right, I think it was TVs or something. I don't think you've been in TVs for years. I don't think it's the same as the displays. Tell us about what that was and what it means for Sharp.
Yeah, it's very rare that, I can sit here and look you in the eye and say, I am very excited about spending nearly $1 billion to close down a factory. And so, we had to take a gigantic impairment loss, which really, candidly did not result in great financials for the year. But it was all tied to the impairment loss of closing what is we call a 10th gen factory. So not to bore everyone in copier world, but it's the most advanced level LCD factory, and candidly, most of our competitors had already closed theirs. We were kind of late to that game. That manufacturing has really moved to a couple major Chinese manufacturers now, and so we kept in that business, and candidly, we shouldn't have. And so we finally made the decision to exit it. It was a money losing business, and whenever you make that decision, you have to write down the cost of the operation. Now, ultimately, we anticipate, and it's already been announced, that there's indications that it'll be taken over by Foxconn to actually do a data center for AI, because obviously, when you're making very advanced LCDs and things like that, you need really strong water supply, which they need for cooling, a farm, and then you need high power consumption. So they've already announced that they're intending to do that. And so, theoretically, I'm not in charge of the finances here at Sharp, but that could be reversed once they get an agreement to go forward. So that's the negative. The positive is it closed out a period of Sharp where they're saying, you know what, we're really good at branded products. We make a lot of money making branded products. Let's focus on our branded product lines. And so that to me is the exciting part, that they've said we want to be more known for our branded products than what we make in components. And just to be clear, so that factory just made glass, right? It didn't make the finished product. And we hadn't used the glass from that factory in a number of years in any of our products. So, we're still selling TVs. It's a smaller business today, but we still sell TVs. We're doing great in our professional display business. So from our business, B2B branded business, it had zero impact on
So
what
let
we
me just
do
stop
going
you there
forward.
so we understand better because wrap my goofy copier head around this. So you made glass in this factory. The glass was not really used in the Aquas boards or the other displays you make. What
So,
what was it used for?
yeah, at one point it was. So,
Okay.
the non-technical version of it, just think one big cookie sheet, right? It's a giant cookie sheet, and that's a 10 gen can make the largest cookie sheets. But then when you make a large format display, 90 inches and above, things like that, you need no pixels to fail in that 90-inch area. So it's a very, very advanced area. Now, if you lower generation factories, they can make smaller cookie cutter glass, and you can cut out for a 40-inch or 50-inch display the bad pixels. You don't want to do that if you have a giant piece of glass, because the whole thing gets tossed if you thought it was going to be a 90-inch display. So that kind of market's moved elsewhere. So, we procure glass now from other locations around the world, other suppliers. So for us, the need for such an advanced technology was no longer necessary. And so we just moved forward without it.
So going forward without it, you're a little leaner. You're just basically closing down something you don't need anymore.
Use it. Yeah. So,
No
that
big
that was
deal.
generating. Yeah, moving forward, I mean, obviously losing money is never a good thing, but
Yeah, but
hopefully that
sometimes you
will.
have to, after a while, you have to face the music, and you're not the only one who's ever taken an impairment charge. A lot of companies in our world have. Your earnings came out recently. How was your first, your last quarter, and how was the year for you guys?
Well, our smart office group, which we're part of the branded group. So branded overall, finished the year at like a 4.9% profit. So very good. Second half was 5.6. So branded overall, great. When we take out the part of the impairment charge, I think our branded business was phenomenal last year. It was very profitable, 4.9% for the year, 5.6% the second half. So it shows the branded business is solid. The smart office group, that's where I report up into, and all the technologies that anyone watching this would be using. And we grew year over year. That's on top of year over year growth the last couple of years. So it's not off a down year. And our profit was great. I think we were the second half, we were over 6%, 5.5, I think, roughly for the year. So the business is very solid. We continue to grow. But to me, the most exciting part is when the CEO of the corporation says we're going to focus on the branded product lines and calls out the sales in North America as being a key driver of that success. So I do enjoy hearing that they're seeing the value of what we've created over the last couple of years here. Very important for everyone listening.
Well, you guys are, I mean, how big is this market in relation to the overall Sharp global sales?
We're as you carve out now what will be what we call the branded business, which is really the company going forward. We're going to be over 40% of the company going forward. So, you can naturally see that it's going to be a focus area. And I think, in fairness, if you go back a decade or so, people would say, well, the office equipment business is relatively small, for Sharp Corp, and I could see that perspective. But since that point, we've grown the copier business. We've acquired the Toshiba laptop business, call it Dynabook today, and we have the joint venture with NEC for the display business. So all those now are part of this organization, and it's really beefed up what we can offer in the office space.
Well, you certainly have a robust offering. I'll call it that. You are one of the few companies in this space who can really go in and equip a customer, right, with everything, with office equipment, printers, scanners, through your partnerships, software, calculators. I think you still probably have some calculators. I think you do, right?
Good
Like
draw, but yeah, we
we
don't
used to
really
have them on
market
our
it.
desk. We had sharp calculators when I started this job. I keep joking about it, but what areas are you looking at, down the road that just seem to just really be taking off for you guys that, are building on the relationships you have with with the printers that you've built over the years, and now going forward, these are some areas that you're really getting behind. I know production's one of them. Um, where is Sharp really looking forward to their future right now?
Yeah, I think that there's kind of three areas. So obviously, production's new to us. We're getting that going. We've got a lot of dealers now conducting the training and starting to put demo units, which will really start driving that business up. We've talked a lot about production in the past. I think obviously that's a key growth area. What you're going to start seeing more and more from Sharp is A4 printers. I think everyone in the industry understands the growth of the A4 segment, and we really need to build out our capabilities in A4, and there'll be more Sharp developed engines and products. You'll see a couple more this summer come out. And so that's our core print business, which is still the core of our smart office strategy. But then, we look at displays and we're seeing so many dealers. What's really interesting, dealers have really jumped on direct view LED, which is really what is like in an arena, a scoreboard, things like that. So many places and schools and education had so much money that was given to them for technology upgrades. They spent a lot of it. There's still money out there. And they're upgrading scoreboards in their gyms, on their football fields. And so many of our copier dealers have access to those customers because of their traditional print business, that they're going in and saying, let's put a scoreboard in the gym. Those are big ticket items with maintenance contracts.
Yeah.
So I think we're beginning to see more and more of them say, this is right up our alley. Installing electrical is very, basic. But it's a core business that we can then drive with our dealers. And obviously, we have a new ebook. Our Dynabook division has a lower priced PC-based product that allows them to go into school districts and upgrade. A lot of people love the Chromebooks at a time, but nobody leaves school and then goes to an office and works with a Chromebook. And so to really prepare their kids, they need to learn the PC platform. They need to understand that. And so more and more schools are saying it was a good stopgap measure, but now let's upgrade to true PCs. And we've closed that price point gap with the Chromebooks. So that's another area we're seeing a lot of dealers kind of grab hold of in the last couple months.
Well, it's just such a good opportunity, and it's a natural extension of something they're already doing, right? Like when when you're in there trying to sell office equipment, it's just one extra question. What do you do for laptops? Where do you guys get where do you get your hardware from? Um, and if they
But
like
if you
you,
think
maybe they start getting it from you, right? So you
exactly,
mentioned A4 printers, and I wanted to spend a little more time on that before I let you go. You just launched a bunch of them. Um, these were MFPs, color MFPs, I believe. You mentioned you've got a few more printers coming, and so these are Sharp manufactured devices, correct?
that's correct. We continue to partner with people, but really the goal is to develop our own strong product offering. We continue to introduce more and more A4 products, and it's going to be our technology, which is critical to us. And so I think, from a dealer perspective, we've got to be able to have the same experience from A4 at the bottom all the way up to our highest end products in the office. And that's got to continue to be a focus. More and more of our dealers are fully engaged in MPS. They want one look, they want one interface, they want one control system. And so that's become a big focus for us. So I think the next product that we introduce this summer will really take it to the next level. It's more of what you associate a true printer to be that maybe you're replacing that's already on a desk. I'd never like to name brands, but really what they're going to be replacing. And so it's a like for like type of exchange that someone would go, this makes a lot of sense. And it works as a Sharp machine does. It works with the same device, controllers, everything that you've become familiar with. So I think that's going to be very interesting for the dealer community to see a true A4 offering from Sharp. And so that's one of the key areas that we're focused on this year.
Well, it makes sense to me, and it's definitely. Look, you guys started this pretty much the day Foxconn acquired you. I remember the first meeting with you and Doug talking about we're going to start making our own A4, and you had it managed very well. You've had great partners over the years, but there is something to be said for being more in control of your own product line and the continuity, and just knowing where the parts are coming from and being able to control it more efficiently, right? And so when you get someone like Foxconn behind you saying, what else can we build? And not to mention there's a huge trend in our industry that's only sped up since the pandemic of, A3 migrating to A4, right? So look, if you're going to have factories that are going to be making printers, you probably want to making A4 printers at this point, just because we're making less A3 printers going forward. So, move where the excitement is, move where the action is, and so you guys building into this area, it just makes sense to me, and so it's nice to see these products starting to roll out. We saw a few of them at your dealer meeting. I think you had one or two on the floor that were maybe prototypes at that point. We're probably seeing them starting to come now.
And that
Um,
will be the real product now.
yeah. So it's exciting. And these are starting to become available now. You've got more printers coming. And then so second half of the year, what are we looking at? You gonna have meetings? You guys doing road shows? What are we gonna see from
Yeah,
Sharp? Where are we gonna
we're
see you?
we're looking at doing, we're looking at doing a roadshow. We try to do the meetings, every other year. You really got to have something tied. I mean, you're asking dealers to give up a lot of time to come visit. You got to tie it to a big launch. So, we're looking. We're not ready to announce when our next meeting is, but we potentially will do some road shows in the fall, maybe in the winter time, to go out with some new products that will be coming later after that. I think for us, it's continued momentum. Like you mentioned, there's challenges in the A3, but candidly, our A3 business unit wise is 20% higher than it was pre-pandemic. So I know the overall industry trend is in it, but that's how we doubled our market share by selling more printers. And then as a result, our supply business, even though per machine it's down a little bit, right? But we have 20% more machines out there.
Yep.
So that's allowed us to maintain a supply business, which is providing a very healthy kind of resource to reinvest and continue to do R&D. So I think that for us is how do we keep that momentum? How do we continue to support our dealers and ultimately grow this business, to be one of the top tier players? We're not there yet, but I always like that old Avis saying, "We try harder," right? So we're not number one. We try harder, and we got to continue to do that. It's just try harder and work our way up into that top tier.
Well, you're chipping away. I've seen in the last few years you made a lot of progress. Since the pandemic, the landscape in our world has changed considerably, and you guys have been, I'd say, steadfast. You weathered that storm. pretty well comparatively to some of the others, and who a lot of companies struggled. You did too, but some more than others, right? Um, you got through that, and you're kind of sitting pretty right now. You're well funded. You've got a strong, mothership that's very interested in growing the Sharp brand, clearly. And 40% of the market, that's another number that jumped out. 40% of Sharp's sales coming from the US. That
I
adds a
want to
lot
clear that.
of cachet to this market, right?
Yeah, well, I want to be clear. That's a smart office business, a document business.
I will write that
I have
down.
for the U.S. Yeah, yeah, just to make sure. But it's a smart office business that is 40% of the Sharp brand of business. So we're beginning to get that interest. But I think you make a great point with the Foxconn. It really is it's a nice security blanket, right? Because one company who is truly invested in your success is also your largest investor. It provides a level of security that a lot of companies don't have, right? Because they're answering to many masters, and ours is kind of a nice symbiotic relationship. So I think that's always a good piece to bring to the equation that others candidly don't have to offer. So what our job is to make sure that's valuable, right? Having it doesn't mean it's good. It just means you have it. Now you got to make it useful, and that's really the goal. How do we make it useful for our dealers?
Well, I miss seeing you, but I've seen a lot of your crew lately, and I know we'll be seeing them soon. There's a TD Cinex thing coming up next month. We'll be down at that. I'm sure you'll be sending some people down there in South Carolina. I saw Bob and Pete at the last one, so hopefully we see some fun people down there. Always great catching up with you, Mike. Anything that you'd like to share? Any last shout outs to anybody before we let you go?
No, well, thank you again for taking the time. I will be at. I'm looking forward. I'm going to go to the BTA event in Huntington Beach. That is I would call the official thank you. I won't say farewell, but a thank you to Bob Goldberg. Bob's been there for me for in many roles over many years. Bob's always been there for me. So I called him last week. I said I will be out there. It's kind of an in and out because we are pretty booked, but yeah, I'm not missing Bob Goldberg's farewell. So I think that I look forward to a great second half of the dealer community. I hope, if any dealers, it's a great event at the BTA event. Come join us. And certainly say, thank you to Bob for all he's contributed to the business.
It's going to be a wonderful night. I mentioned I had some hip surgery, so I'm waiting on final clearance. I have booked that trip. I plan to be there in and out just like you. And I hope to celebrate with you guys and have a great night with you and Bob and just all Bob's friends. And it's going to be a great evening. So yeah, anybody who hasn't booked that BTA, this is going to be an epic BTA event, and we're going to celebrate. We're going to have a good time. So Mike, thank you so much for coming on. It's always a pleasure catching up with you. Um, it sounds like Sharp is doing really well, and that I appreciate you clearing up the information surrounding the closing of that plant. That was it was a weird story. It was not a lot. There was not a lot of information to be found on it. It wasn't really coming from Sharp. It was sort of from some, I would say, fringe reporting
Yeah.
organizations.
Yeah.
So
It's always hard when it's an LCD display panel, right? And so people just extrapolate that out. But look, I'm excited. If I take anything away from our last financial announcements, is a direction on brand, and that to me, I've waited. I've been here a while, and I've waited a long time for them to say, "Hey, let's just really focus on our brand." And we've been doing well without that, core focus from the corporation. Now having a little bit of wind, but in our sales, that's gonna make it all the more special. So very excited.
well, awesome. Congrats on that, and congrats on becoming a bigger piece of the pie for Foxconn. We look forward to covering you guys down the road. Thanks for stopping by, Mike. Have a great weekend.
You too, Andy. Great talking.
Thanks.